yogis, this class is a gentle yoga sequence. This class would be great for you if you're working with an injury, or you're a beginner, or you're just trying to balance out more vigorous practices, either yoga or other sports and activities. So if you do have props available to you, I'm gonna cue them into your class today. I have a block and a strap. If you don't have these accessible to you, you can always have homemade props. Just imagine this as a book, a belt, and we're gonna move really slowly and mindfully. There are not gonna be a lot of complicated postures. All that said, if you are a beginner, new to yoga, or working with an injury, it is vitally important that you listen to your body and that you pay attention to what's happening for you personally. So not every posture that I offer to you may work for you, especially with an injury. So you can modify or back off or skip the posture altogether and come into a posture that does work for you. All right, that's my little disclaimer to start off with. So go ahead and come onto your back, and you have two choices. You can either bring the soles of your feet to touch for a reclined butterfly pose, letting your knees fall open, or if you do have low back pain or discomfort, you can instead take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and let your knees rest toward each other. This is called constructive rest posture. So just lay down on your back. We're gonna start with some basic breathing. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. We'll be here for a little bit of time. So again, make yourself comfortable first. Breathe in through your nose, big breath, full breath. Let it go through your mouth. Close your lips and begin to breathe in and out through your nose. One of the foundations of a good healthy yoga practice is your breath work, and as you begin to work with your breath, it's really important that you become an observer of your breath. So just kind of notice what's happening with your breath, if it's short or ragged. And then the goal in our yoga practice is to really even out and smooth the breath, lengthen your inhales and your exhales. And with many years of practice, my inhales and exhales have gradually gotten longer and slower. So just working in that direction. Take one more breath in whatever position your body is in right now. And then bring your feet to the earth at hip distance apart, so your knees are bent and pointing up toward the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. Place your hands flat on your mat. Press firmly down into your palms. And on your breath in, you're just gonna roll your hips up toward the ceiling. And again, only go as high as is comfortable for you. Just building a little bit of flexibility in the spine and a little bit of strength in the legs here. We're going to do this just a couple more times. So breathing in as you lift your hips, breathing out as you release down. And one more time. Release all the way down, and then bring your knees into your chest and take a gentle hug. So not a tight one. Just hold loosely on your knees. Bring your toes and heels side by side. And then instead of curling your tailbone up off the floor, leave it flat on the floor. And then from here, you're gonna take a twist. So keep your knees and feet together
and then bring your knees off to the right. You can rest your right hand on your left knee or take your arms into a goalpost shape or reach them out long. If this is uncomfortable on your back and it feels more comfortable, you can either separate your knees and feet or make it just a bit of a looser twist. And let's switch sides. Bring your knees back through center, either with the assistance of your hands or without, and then release your knees off to the left. Either stacked or staggered, hand resting on your knee or arms in a goalpost or T position. Continue to breathe steadily and smoothly. And then bring your knees back towards center. Again, a loose grip on your knees. A couple little rolls back and forth along the length of your spine. And then eventually make your way up to a seated position. So if you have a hard time keeping an upright spine in a seated position, which does take some strength and some openness in your chest and shoulders, I would recommend sitting on top of a block or a blanket or something that gives you a little more height. So try that out. If you can maintain, this is my dog Grindo, you can maintain a nice tall spine without the use of a block, that's fine as well. So we're just gonna warm up and stretch out our neck and our spine from this position. So find a comfortable position where you can stay upright. Start first by releasing your left ear to your shoulder. I'm mirroring you now, so we should be going in the same direction. And then you can take your left hand on top of your head and just gently guide your ear toward your shoulder. I hold a lot of tension in my neck, and this always feels like an awesome stretch that I can increase with my hand as my neck starts to loosen up. And then release, and we'll switch sides. So now bring your right ear to your right shoulder, right hand on top of your head, so you can very gently and slowly guide your ear down toward your shoulder, but no pressure or forcing it. And just hold it long enough so you can start to feel the side of your neck and the top of your shoulder release and relax. Come back to center, and then just keep your hands on your knees, gently, and not very far, but slightly. Jut your chin forward and release it down toward your chest. And again, as you do this, try to avoid rounding your shoulders, and instead stay upright and bring your chin toward your chest. Hold here. And then come back up, and then reach your chin up toward the ceiling. No tweaking in your neck though, so only as high as is comfortable. And come back to center. Let's take a shoulder stretch now. So if you have a strap or a belt and want to use it, I'll show you how in just a second. We're going to start with the right arm. So reach it up and over. Your hand is going to rest on your upper back. Your elbow points up toward the ceiling. So you can take your hand on top of your elbow if you want, or you can bind your hands behind your back. If you have a belt and your fingers don't reach, but you want to do a bind, you're just going to take your belt or your strap in one hand and then hold on to it with the other hand. So it would look like this. You can start to walk your hands up the strap, or if you want, you can bind your hands. Just hold here. Again, try and stay upright as best as you can. And let's switch sides. So bring your opposite arm up and over. Your fingertips are going to rest on your upper back or neck. Elbow points up. You can take hold of your elbow with your hand as long as your neck stays nice and long. So if you're holding onto your elbow, don't let your chin come toward your chest. You can bind your hands behind you, or you can take hold of your strap. Hold here for another breath. And release. All right, we're going to take one more shoulder stretch before we take a side bend. So bring your left arm across your body. Hold on to the back of your arm with your right arm. You can draw your shoulder down away from your chest. Just feel the stretch in the back of your shoulder. And switch sides. And release. If you are sitting on a block, go ahead and remove your block so we can take a really stable side bend. You're going to bring your left hand to your mat, just set it lightly down on your mat, and then reach your right arm up and over. Breathe into your left side. If you have more space to open in your side, you can also bring your elbow down onto the floor. Just try and avoid rocking your sitting bones off your mat. So keep your sitting bones grounded, and then switch sides. Take your right hand down towards your mat, reach up and across with your left arm. Maybe your elbow, as long as you don't end up rocking off to the side. And release. And since we're sitting here now, let's take butterfly pose, a good stretch for your hips. So just bring the soles of your feet together and bring your hands around your knees. You might just stay here sitting upright. Even if your knees are pointing all the way up to the ceiling, that's fine. It just takes a little bit of time for the hips to loosen up and open up. If you feel pretty open in your hips, you're welcome to hinge forward. Just try and avoid, again, you'll hear this over and over again in yoga, and not exclusively, but try to avoid hunching and rounding, because we really are working with the muscles in our back to help improve our posture and the health of your spine. So you want to keep those muscles nice and strong. Good, release, and let's take a stretch for the hamstrings, the backs of the legs. So extend your legs forward. Even if your legs aren't flat to your mat yet, that's just fine. If you do want to, you can take your strap and wrap it around your feet so you have a nice grip and some space here. Again, staying upright, or if you want to, you can hinge further forward, getting a nice stretch to the backs of your legs. Release. So come on to all fours into a tabletop position. As you position yourself in tabletop, make sure that your shoulders are in alignment with your wrists and your hips are in alignment with your knees, so your back is nice and flat. And then let's continue to warm up the front and back side of the body. So breathe in, drop your belly down, come into cow pose. Lift the crown of your head and your tailbone, and then round your spine. This time you can curl in, take your chin toward your chest, take your gaze toward your belly, lift and separate your shoulder blades. And then a couple times back and forth, just alternating between cow and cat.
last one of each. Come back to tabletop position. We're going to take a pose called child's pose, which is a good stretch for your hips and your low back. So take your knees to about mat distance apart, touch your toes, bring your hips to your heels, and walk your hands forward. If that causes any pain or discomfort, you can bring your knees together and then just round, bringing your forehead down toward the floor and your arms alongside your body. So this is just a little gentler version of child's pose. And this is a little bit of a more active version, a little bit deeper. Your choice. Take a couple breaths. Close your eyes and listen to the sound of your breath going in and out through your nose. This is very calming for your nervous system. All right, so we're going to take one downward facing dog in this class. So if you're familiar with down dog, go for it. Bring your hands forward, spread your fingers wide, tuck all 10 toes under, and press your hips back towards your heels, and then begin to straighten your legs. Now, it's okay if they are not all the way straight, so you can keep them super bent, or you can start to press your heels down toward the floor. As you peek up toward your hands, make sure that your middle finger is pointing toward the front of your mat and that you're active in your hands. So common mistake, just learning down dog, is just to forget about the hands and let them rest loosely on your mat. But you want to create a solid foundation. And then as you peek back to your feet, make sure that your heels are disappearing behind your toes. Okay, so they're not pointed in or you're not pigeon-toed. And that your feet are at about hip distance apart. If it feels good to you, you can continue to stretch out in this down dog by pedaling your legs, bending one at a time. And we'll just hold it for one more breath. And go ahead and walk your hands back toward your feet. Bend your legs as you come back. We're going to take ragdoll pose. So rest your torso on your thighs. Release your head down onto your mat. And if you'd like the support, you can keep your hands resting down. Or if you want to dangle, you can take your opposite hand to your opposite elbow and just let your arms and your head be really heavy. Nice, gentle way to get you upside down. Continue to breathe in and out through your nose. And then release your hands down toward the earth and heel toe your feet together. With your legs bent and at a very slow pace, round up to standing. And just let your arms be like really heavy weights. Your head comes last. My dog loves birds, and that just scared me. All right, so we're just gonna do a couple gentle poses on our feet. So ground down through your feet by separating your toes. Feet should be at about hip distance apart so that you feel stable. And just kind of rock your weight backward and forward. So you can kind of start to find that center of balance. Then rock your weight side to side. And then come to stillness. So your weight is balanced evenly between front and back, side to side. And for mountain pose, you can face your hands out. Fingertips are pointing down toward your mat, and you're really active here. So lift your chest,
Chin slightly away from your chest. On your next breath in, lift your arms up. Look up toward your hands and then connect the palms of your hands together. As you breathe out, bring your hands to heart center. And let's do that a couple more times. So breathe in, breathe out. But you can go at your own pace. So your pace does not have to be the same as mine, but try to work with your breath. Feel that stretch through your torso as you reach up and you look up. One more time. Good. Now reach up again. And this time you're going to take your right arm forward, your left arm back. Try to keep your hips pointing toward the front of your mat. And then you're just going to twist your spine. So start to reach your left fingertips all the way back toward the back of your mat and then peek back to your fingertips. Come back to center, both arms up overhead. And then switch your left arm forward, right arm back. Maybe peek back towards your fingertips. Try to keep your hips pointing toward the front of your mat. So even if you can't go very deep, that's fine. Building a little bit of strength and warmth in your core center. And then come all the way back up. And then real gentle, come down into a fold with your legs bent. So just come all the way down. And then continue to squat down. So you're gonna lift your heels up off your mat. If you want to play with balance a little bit today, you can either stay here in this nice stretch for your ankles and your feet, or maybe you lift your hands up off of your mat and balance here. And just noticing all the sensations in your feet and your ankles. And if this position isn't accessible to you in your feet or your ankles, you can always rest your knees down onto the floor so you have a little more support. Okay, but we're going to come all the way back down onto our backs again. We're going to take a hip stretch called reclined pigeon pose. So if you need to peek at the screen to see what's happening, that's totally fine. You're going to lay on your back with your left leg bent, and you'll cross your right ankle over your left knee. And then if this is enough of a stretch, you can gently press your knee forward to the front of your mat, or just stay here. If you want to take it deeper, you can bring your foot up off the floor and take your hands around your thigh or your shin. Let's switch sides. Stick your right foot onto your mat, cross your left ankle over your right knee. You can stay here. You can press your left hand onto your left knee forward toward the front of your mat, or you can lift your right foot up off the floor, hold on to the back of your leg, or all the way around your shin. It just depends on how open your hips are feeling today. That could be different every day. And just enjoy this reclined stretch. You're always welcome to close your eyes when you're grounded on the floor. And just pay attention to the sensations in your body. Listen to the sound of your breath. You can just release your right foot back down onto the floor, uncross your ankle. And then final pose before Shavasana, we'll take happy baby pose. You have lots of options here. So lift your legs up off the floor. You can hold on to the backs of your thighs. You're gonna want your knees and your feet wide, but your tailbone is resting heavy on your mat. So it's not a curl here, it's a flat back. If you wanna take hold of your calves, that's an option. Your ankles are an option. Toes are an option. Okay, again, this is gonna depend on the flexibility and the openness of your inner thighs and your hips today.
You're welcome to rock side to side. Bring your knees together, a little squeeze, and release your legs long on your mat. Arms down by your side. And we're going to come into our final pose, Shavasana. This pose is a resting pose, an opportunity to really release any tension. So make yourself comfortable. Move around as much as you need to. Let your palms face up and your fingers just relax. Let your feet fall open. And then once you're comfortable, close your eyes and just commit to a few moments of stillness. So try not to fidget or move around too much. Take a big breath in through your nose. Let it go through your mouth. And then just breathe naturally. Continue to rest in your Shavasana if you have time. When you're ready to release from Shavasana, roll onto one side. You're going to come out of it slowly. Press your way up to a seated position when you're ready. Bring your hands to your heart. Today, as you go forward, may you have peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your heart. From my heart to yours, namaste.